And whereas in the Old Testament there are 613 do's and don'ts, how many do you think there are in the New Covenant, in the New Testament? There are over 1,100, nearly twice as many do's and don'ts for Christians as there were for Jews. And those who say it doesn't matter now you've accepted Christ, you've done everything you need to do and he's done everything for you, and that's all. Then what happens to the 1,100 do's and don'ts in the New Testament? Well, you just happily ignore them. You've heard that I've written a book, Once Saved, Always Saved. You weren't told that I've got a big question mark at the end of that, because I don't believe it. I think that phrase, which is not in the Bible, has done more damage to Christians by leading them into a complacent safety. I'm saved, I'm okay, I'm heading for heaven. We're going to see that's a dangerous assumption. So Moses told them what to do and what not to do, and then he told them in no uncertain terms, God blesses obedience and he curses disobedience. There are many people today cannot accept that God is a God who blesses people and a God who curses people. A God who pardons people and a God who punishes people. You just can't get around that. But those two sides of God run right through the Bible, and you're not believing in the biblical God unless you believe in the God who blesses and curses. And when you read the curses of the Old Testament, you realize why God allowed the Holocaust to happen in Nazi Germany. There's a description of what happened to the Jews of Germany in Deuteronomy 27 and 28. And in Leviticus 27:2. When you read those chapters, you're reading an account of the Holocaust. You're reading that God said, if you disobey my laws, I withdraw my protection and expose you to the hatred of men. So God didn't think up the horrible things that happened to the Jewish people in Germany. He exposed them to it. He took his protecting hand away from them, and that meant they could do what they liked. And Hitler and his cohorts did. I've stood in the gas chamber of Auschwitz and Birkenau and Treblinka. I've walked on the ashes of Jews in Treblinka. Couldn't help it because they spread over the whole place. And I thought, this is what comes to a people who disobey him. It's described for you, the terrors that will come by night to them, which will keep them awake in fear. It's all there. And the blessing and cursing goes straight through to the New Testament. That's where we come in. And the do's and don'ts of the New Covenant apply to us, because God has not changed. He's the same God. And it would be totally unfair for God to punish unbelievers with adultery, who've committed adultery, and then say to believers, you're okay. You can commit adultery, but his blood covers it all. Do you follow me in that? That would make God the most unfair, unjust God there could ever be.